This episode of the Small Triumph Sports Library and Archives channel is about a Handmade by Heary dash I ordered up earlier this spring for my 1969 Triumph GT6 Plus. Since I requested an OEM style dash, the story affords me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the details of original dashes. So here we go. So lately in the spring, generally around tax refund time, I tend to splurge on an important, relatively expensive piece of my GT6 puzzle. This year, I decided to reach out to Peter Heary to get a dash made. My original dash was a bit chipped and cracked, and it got a little worse during disassembly. I'd seen Peter's work over the years on Facebook and elsewhere. Like many artists and craftsmen, he promotes his work frequently, but also I'd seen and heard nothing but good things about his craftsmanship from customers. We've actually lost some dash makers in the US market in recent years, and I know some folks have stepped into the void, and I've seen some work that looks good. But I ultimately decided to go with a Handmade by Heary dash because of what Peter Heary had put out there in terms of the work that he was showing, but also based on customer feedback. And ultimately, I'm extremely happy that I decided to put my faith there. So for those of you who may be unfamiliar, here's the Handmade by Heary website, or a screen grab of the Handmade by Heary website. And here's an image from the portfolio page on that site. Peter Heary advertises himself as a Triumph dash specialist, although he is branching out, I believe, to try to do dashes for other British cars. And also I want to note, as you will see on his website, that he really specializes in doing not just original style dashes, but also any number of different custom style dashes as well. Here's a screen grab of Peter Heary's YouTube channel where he shows his work. If you're interested in getting a dash, I highly recommend you having a look at his creations. Incidentally, I think I first encountered Peter Heary because of a video he posted to YouTube about installing the windshield trim on his Spitfire, which is an absolute joy of a job, and any of you out there who have attempted it will know exactly what I mean by that. But anyway, so I wrote to Peter. I said I was looking for a dash for my left-hand drive 1969 Triumph GT6 Plus, and I told him that I wanted an OEM style dash, that I wanted a matte, that is non-reflective finish on the dash, the overall anti-dazzle dash in Triumph marketing speak. The only caveat I had was that I believe that the hazard and brake lettering on my dash's center panel was a light gold color rather than white. All of the lettering that I had seen on his dashes appeared to me to be white. So I asked him if he could do gold lettering. He responded that to his knowledge, all of the dash lettering on Triumphs was white, but he suggested that he was willing to work with me on that color, but he said that my lettering appeared gold probably because of some solvents that were used to clean or preserve the dash over the years, and of course age may have been an issue as well. But regardless, he said he was happy to tone down the color of the lettering if that was my preference. And this, by the way, brings me to one of my main takeaways about working with Peter. He's very flexible, and he really wants to do everything in his power to give you the dash that you want. While we were on the subject of lettering, Peter noted that he actually puts the lettering on before the final coats of clear, so that the lettering on his dashes is actually much more durable than the silk screening on the original dashes. So you get a kind of upgrade there. So why did I think my lettering was originally gold? Well, as you can see from this photograph, the lettering on my original dash appears to be a light gold, but I had seen this goldish color in others' photos of dashes too. For example, in Ed Hollingsworth's original 1969 GT6 Plus dash and photos shared on his bullfire.net website, as well as on dashes that have been on offer from eBay sellers. Here's an example of that. And on cars that have been for sale on Bring a Trailer. That looks a little more white, I think, than gold, but at least a little bit off-white. I did think it a little odd that the color on many of these dashes seems to be gold, especially as the lettering on the heater control escutcheon just above it is clearly always white. But such odd contrasts are not exactly unheard of in automotive production. The gold-looking lettering on many of these GT6 dashes is, by the way, very different from the lights label on my 1980 Spitfire dash, which has always looked very white to me, although it is a little faded and worn from age, as you can see in that image. Regardless, after my talk with Peter, I started thinking about the best evidence out there for what these GT6 dashes originally looked like. Most of the period evidence at my disposal is in black and white, but I finally landed on the 1969 and 1970 US sales brochures, and sure enough, the clear images in those brochures show bright white lettering. So this is an image from the 1969 US sales brochure, clearly shows bright white lettering. This is an image from the 1970 US sales brochure, which again seems to clearly show bright white lettering. I do want to note that I do not necessarily consider sales brochures to be definitive evidence of anything. A lot of times the images may involve pre-production models or possibly be enhanced in different ways or whatever. So it's not definitive evidence, but it is good evidence. It is strong evidence that the lettering was originally white. So I really began to move toward Peter's position that the lettering on these dashes was originally white and then became gold looking through some combination of age and the usage of products. But then, as final decisions were being taken, T.D. Fitchett, a famous UK purveyor of many a new old stock part, put on sale a new old stock left-hand drive GT6 Plus dash, and this ended up serving as our model. As you can see in this image, the lettering on that dash is kind of white, but it's definitely not a bright or vibrant white. It's maybe ever so slightly off-white or dingy white or kind of a beige color. It's not the vibrant white that we see or seem to see in the sales brochure images. It is definitely a far more muted white, and it does appear to be a little bit off-white. So this became a very important piece of evidence, and as I said just a second ago, it served as our model. Presumably this dash, it's a new old stock dash. It has been well stored, not exposed to UV light and all of that. I should note that there's no telling exactly when this dash was manufactured. I guess it could theoretically have been made at any point between late 1968 and Triumph's folding at the beginning of the 1980s. But anyway, it's the best piece of evidence at our disposal at this time. So after finding this dash on the T.D. Fitchett website while I was working with Peter about the final details of my dash, I happily settled on slightly off-white lettering. Regarding method of operation, here's the short version of the story. So in order to start working on a dash, Peter requires a deposit. So you make a deposit and then he'll get to work on your dash. He'll provide you with regular updates. When the finished product is ready, he will send you a video of your dash so that you can look over it and approve the work. If you approve it, you go ahead, you send in your final payment, and he wraps the dash up very carefully and ships it to you from Ireland. So that's how the process works. I'm going to try to provide in the video description a link to Peter's attempt to showcase the dash he built for me on his YouTube channel, so you can see his video about my dash. What I'm about to show you is my own little short video that is a comparison of my original dash with the one that Peter built for me. One thing that you will notice is that I've not completely disassembled the center panel of my original dash yet. So the heater escutcheon is still on it. The gauges are still in it, the switch backing plates are still on it, and so forth and so on. But it doesn't really matter for my purposes here. What you'll be able to see in the video is that Peter Heary has built me a beautiful dash that is very much in the spirit of the original, with some upgrades. Obviously, I've not put the dash in the car. I haven't started to put everything together yet, but I have extraordinary confidence that when the time comes, everything will come together nicely and look great. So here's my comparison video. As you can hopefully tell, I am truly thrilled with the quality of my Handmade by Heary dash. I cannot recommend Peter Heary's work enough. It is beautiful. That's it for this episode, but I have more Triumph nerd content in the pipeline. If you like this sort of thing, please consider liking, subscribing, all that sort of thing. Thanks for watching.